Hello and welcome to video 3 in your Notion Life OS onboarding tutorials, a step-by-step guide to getting you using and thriving in Notion Life OS. So if you've been following along, you would have seen video 1 where we covered quick drop, tasks, projects, life areas, and getting started with the action-based area of the template. And in video 2, we covered tracking, habit tracking, workout tracking, meal tracking, goal setting, and yearly planning, and all of that. This video is all about knowledge. And the knowledge base, I suppose, is what most people know to be a second brain, a place to take notes. It's what Notion was originally designed for, a ubiquitous note-taking tool that can feel a little bit like paper, but have all the power of databases and a digital world. So we're going to look at how to quick capture items into your Life OS system and how to organize them and make sense of all the databases that join up to manage all of your information. Because of course, a Life OS template like this is a second brain, a place to hold information. And what really makes it work is that idea of capturing, organizing, and then distilling information into a system so you have it in a place that you can make connections and re-find it so that you can then use it and repurpose it, or even, I suppose the word is, express what you have discovered into new output. This is all based around Tiago Forte's P.A.R.A method and his C.O.D.E, which I think is a rather useful term to keep an eye on when you're thinking about this. And if you are interested, I do have a bunch of other videos on the Better Creating YouTube channel that cover a little bit more about some of these key concepts. I'll make sure to link them in the guide to the template if you want to check it out. It's also worth saying that I'm currently only showing this for the Life OS, but if you have the complete bundle, you need to jump to the next video to see a little bit more detail about how that all applies to things like content management, clients, and running client projects, and how you link this data to it. Okay, it's time to jump into the bit that most people might think of a second brain really being for, which is capturing knowledge and information. I like to do this within the capture area, and this is made up, of course, of the journal that we may have looked at, but really it's about notes and clippings. So these are dashboards. You can also, of course, we won't worry about this too much, but there is a contacts dashboard where you can create contacts and filter them by a tag of business or personal. It's pretty simple in this. You'll see from the buttons that it contacts for work and contacts for personal life. Simple as that. And these work with, as with the others, they work with templates, which you can edit as you need them to be, but I won't go into contacts. I think that will make a lot of sense to you. If we jump back out, you've also got a wish list. Now this is just a standalone database where you can add items that you want to buy. And really, I would use a kind of online capture tool to do that, which we can talk about at a later point. But what I want to focus on is the knowledge base. So we're going to jump into this. So notes and references are all in one database, the notes and reference database. And they are tagged, as you can see from the filters, by if an item is a note as a type or a reference. So what's the difference? Notes are going to be thoughts that you have and meeting notes that you write. This is internal ideas that you generate, stuff that comes from you and you write up. References are going to be ideas that are external and you bring into you. That's quotes, clippings, podcasts, reading, highlights from your Kindle, all of that kind of stuff. And all of that stuff I'm calling references, and these things are brought in. Now, you then have a topics and resources database, and you have a notebooks database. You don't have to use all of these. Notebooks, they really are just a place to filter. So both topics and notebooks don't contain information themselves. They are databases that help you filter information. Now, you could argue that this isn't important to you and you just want to use your life areas to filter. But what I like about topics is it means that you won't always be able to find the individual item. So if you're linking it to the topic of business strategies, you can remember, I had some information on business strategies, and you can go into the business strategies topic and you can see what you've written about it and what references you might have added about it within there. Oh, look, there's a list I've got this thing on creative control, I've got these things, and it's a great way for you to then find and sort information. So as you're adding information into this system, the process should be import items to your notes and references database, labeling them either as a note or a reference. If you create a new note, use the button. If you create a new reference, either write it or import it, which I'll show you in a moment. And then when you sort them, you're able to then add them to areas, projects, tasks that you're working on, goals, whatever you want to link it to, you can, meaning that you find it later. So the process of adding something to the system is really about making sure that you make it as easy as possible to find at a later point. So to recap, notes and references is where you're going to put your information. Of course, there's a journal, but other than that, that's where you're going to put your clippings and your notes. Topics and notebooks are ways of filtering that information into wider topics or projects, maybe like you're working on writing and learning Notion and taking notes. The notebook would be a great place to use that and then see stuff from there. But again, if one or the other is better for you, just use that. So let's now look at capture. You've got an inbox up here. So if we add a new note, we can drop it in like this and we can make the category, okay, let's make it on any of these things, whatever we like. I'm just going to actually say, oh, actually, I want to make it a meeting note. I'm just going to delete this and make it a meeting note template. Or another way to do that is to start a new meeting note. The big difference being that you can categorize it with that. And also, to be honest, it's just I've pre-formatted it with some options to manage your meeting notes, which is quite nice. We can put them in. You can add URLs, chat with Pepper about the cat flap. Weird, but you get the idea. And of course, down here, you can link these to anything. So that's actually related to the cat flap installation project that we were doing earlier. But I might also want to just link this into maybe travel. It doesn't really relate, but we'll call it that. I want to link it to a life area family. So we can just have those things linked in. Nice. So that's where we might put our notes. But I would say probably the place you're most likely to be capturing information is in that quick drop inbox where you can use these views, to drop stuff in and add them as you need to do. So use the new notes. The new meeting note thing just simply uses the meeting note template, which should filter it by the category of meeting notes. Great. Now, let's look at the idea of adding references because these are really the clippings. Now, you might just want to drop them in here, but to be honest with you, I would propose you might want to start doing something more like this. If we now jump to Chrome and go to this view, you can add the Notion web clipper, which you're able to download. Let's just find it here. Notion web clipper. It's a Chrome extension or for Safari or whatever else, and it will allow you to drop things in. But to be honest with you, I think there's a better option called Save to Notion, and it will allow you to create custom fields. So you can follow their instructions to add it in, and then you can see it in the tab up here. So if we now go back to this view of the Hell Yeah or No by Derek Sivers, we can click on Save to Notion. And you can see I've got a view of my knowledge base. And then when I add stuff in, I can clip everything. If I want, I can use a template if I want to. I can link to projects that are on my mind. I can link through to everything else, basically, status, where I want it to be. But let's do it for this system, how you would set it up. You're going to add a new form and you're going to find your database once you've connected it up to Notion. So there we are. I've got loads of those because there's loads of versions of the template. We can then add fields that we want. You could set your template. I would suggest that you do, and you go for reference clipping template so that that's all updated. And let's add a cover and we'll find the main image. We can do the web page content. Why don't we add category as an option to update? Related topics for now. You can put whatever you want in. Let's save it. So then what we would do is just add something to it. It will fill it out and then we can add our topics. So books, and we can do the topic that we want it to link to is productivity and organization. Let's say it's that. And we can then drop this in. It will save the page you can just click straight through to it by opening the page in Notion, and there you will see all of the information that you clipped. Rather cool, right? Even better, if we now go back to the home page and our quick drop, we can see our reference is dropped into the inbox, which allows us now to jump into it and adapt it how we want to. I'm actually going to set this up so that essentially you've got some options now to make it live, add it to a reading list, or send it to your archive. You can also do this in other views. So let's say we want to make it live. We're going to press that. It will disappear from the inbox. And then, of course, we will be able to find it back in our Knowledge Hub. So we can go in here, look under references and live references, and there is our book summary of Hell Yeah or No. Pretty cool. So that is using a web clipper. Now, another option is to use your mobile. And to demonstrate this, let me show you buying something and adding it to the wish list. Now, of course, this could be a reference. It's less involved, but it is quite, you get less detail, but it is quite good. So I want to buy these pedals. I'm going to click the little send button in the middle. I'm going to go across and find Notion. If you haven't got it, you can find more and click that. Click Notion. Then you want to find your page. You can click in here. Now, make sure it is the database, not the dashboard. So wish list database. There it is. So I'm going to click on it. Now we can see it's ready to go into the database, and you can add it, save, and it will drop it in. So now they turn up in the list. We can click in and you can see some information in there, as you might hope, on those pedals, and I can kind of update the information from within. So like gifts, you can pick the source, so on and so forth, who's it's for, and yeah, nice little thing. So that's how to import stuff. That works exactly the same on iOS and on that for any of the databases. You just need to set it up in order to do it. Now, finally, there is one more way that you might want to think about capturing knowledge, and that is using your phone and an iOS widget. So one thing I like to use this for is for notes. And so on your phone, it's very cool if you can set up, you can see here of my example, it's very good if you can set a link to your quick drop inbox as a widget. There's instructions in the guide on how to do it, but basically add a new widget and link to the page. I can then click on the quick drop page and then start to add information super quickly just with my mobile phone from the widget. So yeah, all very cool ways to add stuff. So that's adding information into your notes and clippings and references and all of that, so you can see it. But what if you want to re-find information? Well, the first thing you want to do well is make sure you make those associations between information by linking them to related projects, tasks, and all the rest, right? So that you start to see connections across the system and you can re-find them in the views that you want. Of course, you can also in Notion, if you want to find things, do Command or Control K, and you can quickly start to search for anything. Hell yes. You can also use filters to find things. Here, we can just click on the filter button and add a filter and choose whatever you would like. So that might be, let's say, category. Save it for everyone. And then when you want to use it, you're just able to click the category and go, what have I got that are books? And that will pull it down to your books. And then you can just clear that out when you want to. So that's another good way to find information. And the final thing to say is to archive things rather than delete them when you're done with them. So let's say I'm done with this, I can jump into it and I'm just going to make it archived. Now that will clear it completely, so you don't have to look at it, but you would be able to search for it. Quite useful. And if you want to stop something being live and used, that's what that permanent sign is for. So that just moves it out of the live area. But if I archive the item, I'm going to click send to archive. That will have now removed it from all views other than archives. And where do you find your archives? Well, you find them down here under the knowledge base. There is a link to the archives page. And here we can see everything that has been archived in your system. And in fact, it goes right across The task bin is where you would find stuff that you've completed. So you can go and delete old tasks that you don't need anymore. You find notebooks, contacts, and all the rest of it in there. Finally, on searching and sorting information, you might want to know a little bit about, briefly, the perspectives dashboard, which allows you to read insights into information. Rather good if you have the charts, but probably the big one is the P.A.R.A dashboard. And this is inspired by Tiago Forte's P.A.R.A method, which stands for projects, areas, resources, and archives. And as you might imagine, we've kind of adapted that a bit: life areas, topics and resources, archives. And this is just another way of viewing key things that you might be working on, your life areas, your projects, your topics, and your archive material. So it's just there as a means to look, and there's some information on clicking to different links from it. So I would say that was a kind of overview of knowledge capture and sorting. There's probably one final thing that we should take a little look at. I'm going to save budgets and subscriptions for another day, have a little play with that, and there will be an upcoming video on how you can set financial years and manage your budgets. But for today, I just want to show you this rather cool new feature, which is the portfolio website. So if we jump into that, you'll see I've created a little draft site. If you wanted to use Notion, this could be a landing page that you capture information on. It might be a product page, or maybe it's a portfolio for what you're getting up to. You can do that now in Notion. So you would want to go in, adapt it, maybe set a URL to a kind of contact or a form. Notion form is coming soon. You can update these links. You can use these to share your expertise, your languages, your software, example projects, whatever you want to do. Just adapt this and edit as you want to go. You can create things like a book a form button that goes to your Calendly. Once you're done, there's an instruction on how to upload, but essentially with a site, you can click up here to share. You can go to publish and click publish, and it will turn it into a website. Create new domains, Notion-based domains if you want to, or even add paid full domains that you link to it, like my parttimeproductivity.com site. And you should go into site customization. And if you're sharing this as a site, so I've just got to go to a non-live one. So you go to share, you go to publish, you click publish as a site. You have the options to select a domain by creating new Notion.domains, or even adding paid proper domains that you might own elsewhere. But I would go to site customization and take a little look whether you want to adjust the image or the rest of it. But probably you want to turn off duplicate as a template. I don't think you want to see that on your site. Then once you've done it, you can go and view the site, and we will see a rather clean version of our portfolio turn up. Share with anyone you want to. Pretty cool. You can unpublish it at any time and leave it as you want. Okay, so we have covered knowledge, clippings, and even a little bit of detail on contacts. And that really should give you a fundamental overview to keeping your life and work in order in Notion Life OS. However, if you own the bundle, you may also be wanting to know a little bit about the content and client OS elements of your template. So in the next major video in this series, I'll show you how that integrates with the rest of Notion Life OS. But for all of you, whether you own the bundle or not, I'm also recording a bunch of smaller videos on key little details that I think really unlock the power of this system. So make sure you check those little tidbits out and see if they help you go further with the system. And do drop me a line on notion@bettercreating.com or in the Discord community, and let me know what else you'd like help with and how we can help you further with getting the best out of this template. Okay, see you later.